we're going to be talking about Google Calendar and Google Tasks. So Google Calendar and Google Tasks, because they're both Google apps, are sort of integrated with each other. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to set up recurring appointments or events on Google Calendar, and then how to use Google Tasks to make a to-do list, which then will put reminders into your Google Calendar. So you can use one of these, both of these together, however it works for you is great. So let's do a little bit of review about Google Calendar. Again, if you don't have Google Calendar already on your phone, you can get it in the App Store or the Play Store. It's free. When we want to go in here and set up a new event, and again, we're using the word event for any occurrence that we're scheduling in our calendar. So if you want to add an event, when you open up the calendar app, whatever view you're in, you should see that little plus sign at the bottom of the screen, this one right here. And that's how you can add an event. So you're going to tap that. And then you'll see these options. Again, we've sort of worked mostly with events. We're going to work with tasks today, but we're going to work with them from the task. So an event here, so you're going to click on that, and then you enter all the information. But then too, I just wanted to go over how you edit an event once you have this. Let's say we wanted to edit some of the details about it. We would just click on it from whatever view we're in, and we should see a screen like the one on the right that gives, real brief details about this event. You're going to click this pencil up here to edit an event that you've already scheduled, and that'll give you the screen where you can make those edits. So that's just a little bit of review about adding and editing events in Google Calendar. Okay, so one of the things that I mentioned last time that we didn't go over that I wanted to talk about now is how to set up a recurring event in Google Calendar. So if you have something, every week, Friday afternoon, you don't have to go in and enter it every single week, one by one. You can set it up so that that event repeats with the same details. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you can set up these to automatically repeat every day, every week, every 2 weeks, every month, or you can set up like a custom schedule how you need to. But it saves a lot of time because you're not entering it over and over and over again. You're entering it once and it's populating the calendar for whatever period of time you set up for it to recur in that succession. Okay, so for this example, I wanted to do the Smart Live Culinary class, which is on Thursday at 11. And I want to set it up so that I have this in my calendar until the end of the winter trimester, okay? So I could go in here and make it for every week, but I do know that we have a break between the winter trimester and the spring trimester. So I want to just make it through the end of the winter trimester. So let me show you how to do that. We're going to start by clicking on that plus sign. Okay. And we'll set up the Smart Life Culinary class, and we're going to set it up for the next occurrence, the next time it happens. So this Thursday is February 1st. So we're just going to set this up as if at first we're just doing it for that. Okay. So February 1st at 11. Once we've done that, we're going to go to this place where it says does not repeat. So right now, this is a single time occurrence, but if you click on where it says does not repeat, that's where you get to change it to make it recur. That gives you the option to repeat it. So let's say we click on that. And again, you can change all the other details on here too. You can have notifications set up, however, but whatever you do here will be for each of those successive Fridays or Thursdays or whatever interval you're setting these up for. Okay, so in this case, we do want this to repeat every week. So we could just go in here and say every week and then turn it off, the weeks between trimesters. But I want to set it up so it's only going to go through the end of this winter trimester. So it'll do every Thursday at 11 until the end of the winter trimester. So I'm going to say custom because it's not just one of these choices. It's not just every day, every week. So click on custom and I'll see a screen like the one on the right. So I can say repeats every week on Thursday. And then I could say it never ends. So every Thursday until infinity, or I turn it off. Or I could say, give it an end date. And so I'm going to give it the end date of the last culinary class of the winter trimester. So February 29th, 2024. So I'll have 4 of those events in my calendar, the next 4 classes worth of culinary. 5 actually, because we have this week too, sorry. And then another way you can do that too is if you have something that you're doing for, 3 weeks or something, instead of picking an actual date, you could say after 3 occurrences. Or if you're doing it for 3 days and you set up for every day you want it, you can do it after 3 occurrences. So that's just different ways to say when you want that recurring notification to stop. So once you have that the way you want it, so like I said, we have it repeats every week on Thursday and it goes till February 29th. We're going to click done. And once everything looks right on our full entry, you'll see there that it says repeats weekly on Thursday until 2/29, and then you'll hit save. I just want to show you what that'll end up looking like in your calendar. So if you look at the monthly view, you see this blue color, all of those are the Smart Lives through the end of the winter trimester. So I have that in my calendar. I have it set up with a notification. So automatically I will get that 30 minutes before notification for each of these days. And that's a little bit of a complicated one because it has an end date. If you have something that is indefinite, that somebody was saying last time about reminding you to take your medication. So if you wanted to do that daily, you can just say daily and that's it, right? That'll just keep going until you turn it off. So that's a relatively easy way to do it if you don't have an end date to what you want to do. This is just one that does have an end date, at least for this trimester. And then we'll start back up a new one for the spring trimester. And then this is important. So if you need to make any changes to events that you have on here that are recurring, if it's a specific event, go ahead and click on that event, but you can click on any events in the series otherwise. And when you make any sort of change, it's going to ask you, do you want to change just this event? So just on this one day. So let's say that you wanted an additional notification for this week's culinary class because you know you're going to be doing something, but you don't need it for every week. You could just make that change to this event. You could make it to this and all the events in the future, or you can make it to all the events past, present, future, whatever. So that gives you the option of changing that event once or making the changes and then applying them to all of your future or past events. And once you have this how you want it, click save. Okay, so that's Google Calendar with recurring events. I'm going to switch gears to Google Tasks now and talk about how that works with Google Calendar. And some of the things that we've learned about Google Calendar make Google Tasks easier to use because it's set up very similarly, just in terms of what you see when you open it. Google Tasks, just like Google Calendar, is free in the App Store or Play Store. Just look up Google Tasks. And again, it'll connect to the Gmail account or the Google account that your phone's logged into. And it'll connect to your calendar, your Google Calendar. When you open Google Tasks for the first time, it may ask you, depending on what the settings currently are on your phone, it may ask you to select allow notifications so that you can get notifications from Google Tasks. What that means is if you set up a reminder for yourself, it'll come up as a push notification. It's a good idea to set these up because it's helpful to you to have reminders. You're going to need to allow notifications from Google Tasks. It's one of the things that makes the app helpful. So you might want to go ahead and do that. Okay, so then you'll see this screen and you'll notice in the bottom right-hand corner, just like on Google Calendar, there's a little plus sign. That's how you're going to add a task to your main. So anytime you want to add, and a task is just sort of like a to-do item, right? So anytime you want to add in a to-do item, you just click on that plus sign and click on that plus sign. The thing that I'm going to put in here for my to-do list is to work on my Tech Talk slides for next week. And I'm going to set that up for next Monday. What I'm going to do is go ahead and just type what the thing is I want to put on my to-do list. Then I'm going to click on this clock icon to set up a notification for myself or a reminder. All right, so when I click on that clock, I'm going to select the day I want the notification. So next Monday, 5th. Then I'm going to say I want the notification at 1 p.m. because I want to start working on the Tech Talk slides at 1 p.m. on Monday. So that's what I will set it up for. Just so you know, too, you have the option to repeat this as well. So you can set this up to do it similar to Google Calendar. You could set it up to do on a weekly basis until a certain date. So that's on here as well. I just did a single instance or a single task on here for this example, but just know that that repeat function is in here as well if you have something that is recurring over time. And so once you have that set up the way you want it, click done, and you will see now on your task list that you have this work on Tech Talk slides, and it gives you the date and the time that you'll get that notification. When you've completed the task, you just click on the little circle here and it'll check it off. And you'll see on the right-hand side of the screen, that's what it looks like when you've completed. I only had one task on my list. So since I completed that, it tells me all tasks completed, nice work. And then if I wanted to see what that task was before even though I completed it, I just click on this drop down arrow here. So it keeps a list of the tasks you've completed too if you need to go back and look at that. You can also add your own list by going to new list. So you can name a list whatever you want to. This is my tasks is just the general to-do list, but you can customize that as much as you'd like to. And so one of the cool things about Google Tasks is that it works together with Google Calendar. So if you set up a task in Google Tasks, it's going to set up a reminder in your Google Calendar as well. So it'll show up on your Google Calendar. So you can see all of the events you've scheduled, plus also the tasks that you scheduled for certain times. And when you see a task on your calendar, it's going to have that little check mark next to it like a to-do list. So this is just what it ends up looking like on your calendar. And you can actually mark a event completed from here as well. If you click on the task, it'll give you the option to mark it complete. So it's like you can check it off in your calendar as well. And if you check it off here, it'll get checked off in your tasks. Or if you check it off in tasks, it will end up looking like this. It's kind of hard to see because it gets sort of faded out. But say I check this as completed on my task list, on my calendar, it's going to show up. It's still going to be there, but it'll have a line through it. So it'll be like, you've already completed this, so you don't have to worry about it. So anything that you do in terms of modifying the task in the Tasks app will show up in the Calendar app and vice versa, which can be really helpful. And you can access your to-do list either way. You can see either as a setup schedule in the calendar or as an actual list in the task. Gives you some options for staying organized. I like that you can see events and tasks in Google Calendar all together. That's helpful to me.